Today we are diving into a high-profile and dramatic court case that is sending ripples across Nigeria. This is not just any legal battle. This is the continuation of the case of Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. Today, Kanu, a man who has been at the center of countless headlines, returns to the Federal High Court in Abuja. And just as expected, he's bringing his trademark boldness to the courtroom. He's making waves once again. This time with a defiant attitude that says he's not going down without a fight. Now, Kanu has been in the spotlight for a while. From his first arrest to his dramatic rearrest after being brought back to Nigeria from Kenya, the man has not been short of controversy. His supporters say he is fighting for a cause bigger than himself.
A cause that demands the creation of the sovereign state of Biafra, while his critics see him as a terrorist instigator, someone whose actions have incited unrest in various parts of the country. But now, the courtroom drama has reached its peak. Kanu has been given a final chance to open his defense or risk having the case moved to judgment without any input from his side. And today, in the thick of this, Nnamdi Kanu has done something that no one saw coming. He stormed the courtroom and dared Justice Omotosho to do his worst. Yes, you heard that right. He is essentially saying to the judge, go ahead, proceed with what you want, but I will not let this go without making my point. The stakes are high. For Kanu, this trial isn't just about personal freedom. It's about sending a message. A message to the Nigerian government, a message to the Southeast, and a message to anyone who dares to oppose his mission. He has long maintained that the charges against him are false, that the government has nothing to truly hold him on. He has argued that the laws under which he is being charged were either unconstitutional or had already been repealed. But now, in the face of a stern warning from the court, he is taking matters into his own hands. The court has been clear. If Kanu does not present his defense today, his right to a defense could be waived, and judgment would be passed without his input. This is a huge moment. If the court chooses to go ahead and deliver judgment without Kanu's defense, it will send shockwaves through the Nigerian legal system. It could change the way future cases, especially those involving high-profile political figures, are handled. But why is this happening now? The answer lies in the sheer tension surrounding the trial. Kanu has refused to adhere to the usual courtroom procedures, claiming that the entire process is a farce. His refusal to cooperate is not just a legal tactic, it's a bold statement. A statement that the charges against him do not hold water. Kanu's defense is that the entire case is built on shaky ground, and he refuses to engage in a legal system that, in his view, is invalid. We've seen how the case has played out over time. There have been delays, attempts to stall, and a series of contentious moments between Kanu and the court. But today, as the final deadline looms, his defiance is louder than ever. Will Justice Omotosho choose to allow Kanu more time, or will the judge decide to move forward? Deeming Kanu's silence as a waiver of his rights? It's a critical question that is about to be answered in a matter of hours. But as we stand by and wait for today's developments, let's talk about the bigger picture. What does this case really mean for the future of Nigeria? How does it affect the country's legal system? And how does it affect the Southeast? What does it say about how the government is handling secessionist movements? We are at a crossroads. This case is not just about Kanu. It's about the broader question of self-determination in a country as diverse as Nigeria. It's about the state's power to deal with those who want change and how far they are willing to go to maintain the union. There is something particularly striking about Kanu's refusal to back down. It's not just that he's refusing to present a defense, it's the defiance he's showing in front of the court. And make no mistake, this is a legal battle, but it's also a political one. Every move Kanu makes in that courtroom is being watched not just by those who are supporters of IPOB, but by anyone with an interest in the future of Nigeria. The implications of this trial stretch beyond the court walls. They touch on issues of power, identity, and the very foundation of Nigeria's unity. And let's talk about the reaction of the masses. This trial, like many others before it, has stirred up intense public debate. you can feel the tension in the air. For some, Kanu is a hero fighting for justice, a leader who has been wronged by the state. For others, he's a threat to national security,
and someone whose actions have put the lives of ordinary Nigerians in danger. This case has, in many ways, become symbolic of the battle between the government and those who challenge its authority. As we continue to watch this case unfold, there's more to explore here than just the courtroom drama. The politics of this case are as intense as the legal issues. You have to understand, Kanu isn't just a man on trial, he represents a movement. He is the face of IPOB, a group that has been pushing for Biafran independence for years. But it's not just about what happens in court today. The outcome here could have long-lasting effects on how the Nigerian government deals with secessionist groups, political activism, and how the judiciary handles high-profile cases with national implications. If Kanu's defense is allowed to proceed and the case goes through the full trial process, that could set a precedent for how other political dissidents are treated in future trials. If the case moves to judgment without a defense, what does that say about the integrity of the Nigerian legal system? What does it mean for the average citizen who is fighting for justice in a system that might not always appear fair? These are important questions that transcend Kanu's case. And whether you agree with his actions or not, the outcome of this trial could send a powerful message about the state of governance and justice in Nigeria. There's also the matter of the public perception. The support Kanu has from his followers, particularly in the southeast, is unwavering. These supporters see him as a symbol of their struggle for self-determination,
for the right to chart their own path outside of Nigeria's political structures. But on the flip side, his critics view him as a destabilizing force. They see his actions as contributing to the violence and unrest in the region, and they believe he's using his platform to spread division rather than unity. That division has created a charged atmosphere around this case, making it not just a legal matter, but a political one. And let's not forget the role of social media in this. Kanu's supporters are vocal, and they've used platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram to rally around him. These platforms are where a lot of the conversation happens, where people share their opinions on what's going on in the courtroom, and where the broader public can form opinions about what they're seeing. Social media has become a key battleground in the fight for public opinion, and in this case, it's no different. Kanu's followers are watching, engaging, and reacting in real time to the events of the trial. What happens in the courtroom doesn't just stay there. It spills out onto the internet, and that's where the wider narrative is shaped. In many ways, this trial is about more than just Kanu. It's about the idea of freedom of speech, the limits of political activism, and the boundaries of state power. Can the government suppress movements that call for secession, or do people have the right to challenge the status quo, even if it means pushing for the breakup of the country? These are questions that many nations around the world are grappling with, and Nigeria is no exception. Whether it's the Biafran struggle, the calls for a Yoruba nation, or any other movement, Kanu's trial is a part of a larger conversation about how far a government can go to silence dissent, and how far activists are willing to go to make their voices heard. But there's also the question of the broader implications for governance in Nigeria. This case has become a focal point for many Nigerians who are disillusioned with the political class, particularly those from the southeast. The government's handling of Kanu and IPOB has created a deep divide, with many seeing the state's actions as an overreach, while others view Kanu's calls for secession as a threat to national security. This trial isn't just about Kanu's freedom, it's about the future of how Nigeria handles its internal conflicts, its various ethnic groups, and the way it manages dissent. This is an issue that has far-reaching consequences for the country's unity. At the same time, we must ask ourselves, how much power does the court really have in this case? There's a sense of tension between the judiciary and the executive branch in Nigeria, especially when it comes to high-profile figures like Kanu. We've seen over the years how the executive has used its influence to either push for or block certain legal outcomes. How much of this trial is truly in the hands of Justice Omotosho? and how much is influenced by outside political pressures? It's a complicated question, and one that might have a major impact on the outcome of the case. As we wait for today's proceedings, one thing is clear. Kanu's defiance has already made a lasting impact. Even if the court rules against him, even if he is convicted and sentenced, his stance has sparked a larger conversation. It's a conversation about justice, political freedom, and what it means to challenge authority in a country like Nigeria. This trial might not just change Kanu's life, it could change the way Nigerians think about their relationship with the state. So, I want to hear your thoughts. What do you think is going to happen today in the court? Do you think Justice Omotosho will proceed without Kanu's defense, or will Kanu be granted another chance? Is this all a clever tactic, or is Kanu genuinely making a stand for something larger? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more updates as we follow this gripping story. Remember, in these moments of uncertainty,
it's important to stay informed and stay engaged. The future of this case, and perhaps the future of Nigeria, could very well depend on what happens next. Stay tuned, and I'll be back with more updates after the court session today.